Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market.
Hey, my name's Leon Hitchens. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Social Market.
This is Social Ledger Report, where we talk about the weekly news, trends, and just trending things on the crypto space. So this is with Jesse Pollock, who's in the executive board with Coinbase. He was also the, I guess, founder of Base within Coinbase. This is the layer two blockchain where
Okay, so
they,
he was the guy who really started Base, right? Like
yeah, he
that
was.
was kind of his whole, like, I don't want to say claim to fame, but that was like his doing.
It really was. And then it started as a small project, and then I'm not too sure I remember the details, but it started as a project, and then Brian Armstrong said, "Hey, well, if you can make this network faster, and then you can, I don't know, just make it a more compelling layer two than what's currently available with like Uniswap, Arbitrum, Optimist, you name it, several Ethereum-based layer twos." In fact, that was just a year ago when it was created, and then up until now, Base became this very popular network. You can use Farcaster on it. As far as their new Base app, you can use, Coinbase's latest decentralized exchange. So you
Yeah.
no longer need to use Coinbase itself as a centralized exchange. You can use, you know, its decentralized exchange to swap tokens and self custody. So that's really cool. So recently, Jesse Pollock, who became this very influential person in the crypto space as a result over the success of Base, he went to Y Combinator, which is this very renowned. For those of you who don't know, think of it like the Harvard
They live under
of
a rock
startup
if they don't
accelerators.
know.
What do you mean?
They live under a rock if they don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but you live under a rock. But honestly, like, I don't blame you. Business, startups, it's a fast world, and a lot of people just can't keep up with it. But with Y Combinator, it's this very the biggest companies in the world right now. Most of them have come out from Y Combinator. Companies like Reddit, Coinbase, Instacart, um, Airbnb, you name it. Those big companies, they've come out from Y Combinator. And I think it was between 2021 and 22 when they were backing crypto based companies,
Yeah.
primarily in 2021. And until now, when we have applied with Social Market, you see a lot of AI based tools and B2B tools as well. This is kind of like where we are with AI and crypto. Crypto is no longer this very appetizing thing. They've backed companies in crypto in this year. Most of them have been like stablecoin issuers, stablecoin sort of developer tools, which is where they believe more right now. They believe more on stablecoins, the functionality of stablecoins, and they've only, I think, funded like three companies this year. Most of them
Yeah,
have
we
been
were
AI
talking
based.
about it a little bit too. I wonder, I don't
Yep.
know if it's like that it's not as appetizing or if it's more of just like the companies that they're looking for now are more mature, so they're trying to figure out like which one to actually make the best bet. Because
Okay, that makes sense.
like I guess AI kind of had that moment of like what startups to actually go after because most were just like ChatGPT like GUI, like you were just building another interface on top of ChatGPT, plugging it into your
Yeah.
app. Whereas now a bunch of companies have kind of figured out like, oh, we can do a lot of really cool stuff. And from there, I wonder the same thing here. Like crypto first wave, it was like what is it? A bunch of people were making tokens and coins, and now people are like, oh no, hey, it's actually a financial system, and they're trying to figure out like which companies are gonna have impact.
Yep. So it's all a betting game almost, which I think that's why Polymarket kind of exploded because betting happens everywhere all the time, including in the business world. So, anyways, the story here is that Jesse Pollock, who became this renowned person on the crypto space, went to Y Combinator and said he spent a day there and he said they are open for business for crypto. So we're probably going to start to see in the requests for startups or RFS or maybe other outlets in other socials of theirs starting to say, hey, if you're building a crypto startup, come join us. I left a reply saying, hey, I would love to see their RFS, to which Jesse says, interesting. So I'm kind of wondering if he knows what RFS is or request for startups. Other
Abbreviations, they're hard. I didn't even realize it until
oh, okay, yeah, true.
you and who we were talking with on the chat was like, oh
Yeah.
hey, request for startups, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, but I had never really seen it just abbreviated. And I was like, man, I'm getting old, or I'm just dumb.
In the business world, this is probably where the most abbreviations exist over anything else. Even some dumb ones. Like RFS makes sense, but I don't know. You go to some HR training or something, and then they say follow fear or something, and
Yeah,
fear stands for this and that for I don't know some bullshit
yeah.
with HR.
I hate abbreviations. I hate jargon.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
yeah, me too.
it's bad.
I agree. So in this case, he just said interesting, which I thought it was funny. And then later that same day, Brian Armstrong reposts his tweet, and he says, "Time to 10x the number of YC crypto companies." So I saw somewhere on Twitter that said, Brian Armstrong is the kind of person when he speaks, things happen in the markets in the crypto industry. So who knows? I think this would be good. It would be good to see more crypto companies. If you're building a startup, this is probably your time. If you are building on Base, this is probably your time. I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase and the Base team are going to be advocating for Base developers, which, if you're building on Base as a network, this could be your time, this could be your signal. A lot can happen before the end of the year. I think Y Combinator's last batch is in winter 2025. So if we don't see it by winter 2025, request for startups, which has not gone up yet, then I mean, or even if request for startups doesn't have anything that says they're looking for startups, maybe they're just going to be more receptive and not dismissive for crypto companies to
Yeah.
apply as a
So I
whole.
was just reading through a bunch of those as you were talking, a bunch of threads and stuff inside of that.
Yep.
The
This same post.
reoccurring thing, yeah, like besides all the junk, if you get into it, the reoccurring thing is monetization models are a problem for crypto companies, which is true. And it
Yeah.
kind of goes to the maturity of companies, is which companies are actually able to make money. Um, layer two competition's intense. Like there's a lot of L2s, roll-ups,
Yep.
security, decentralization trade-offs that are tricky. But Web3 blockchains struggle to make revenue based on beyond gas fees, and a wallet and L2 combo might help, but it's still a big thing. And then ecosystem stickiness is a big problem, like convincing users, developers, and everything to kind of get together. Base is doing the best one. I think it's partially because Coinbase is just behind it.
Coinbase is
You know,
this
like
giant, you know,
it,
crypto
it
influence.
reduced some of the friction, but honestly, now that I'm in the beta of Base, I like it, but it's not as smooth as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a leap forward, and it's like, not really. Also, it's like how much influence are like blockchains built by exchange-backed entities are going to really have out there? Because if you're an exchange, you want to centralize control, but also there's like a big tension between that and decentralization, like all of that. I think as these first cohorts of like this new type of crypto startup comes out, I think it's going to be a signal to investors what criteria, what to look for in founders, what sort of infrastructure and consumer apps are out there. I think it's going to be a big push out there once that starts happening, because they'll set the first steps and say, hey, this is the criteria of people, this is the criteria of companies, and then everybody will invest around that.
Honestly, we'll see what happens. I think it's fun to speculate, which is what we
Yes.
do. We do best, but only time will tell because I think we've seen time after time companies say something kind of out there. And for one, if you're into that narrative, it's really easy to support it, but only time will tell because even if you have like one of the brightest entrepreneurs building one of the most innovative tools, like say Steve Jobs who built the iPhone or who was responsible for the iPhone, it only really depends the impact it'll bring and the value it'll bring to users because going back to the iPhone moment real quick, people and news outlets were skeptic on the success of the iPhone, but yet people used it. You know,
Yeah.
People would say one thing, but on the other hand, you would see people actually gravitating more to an iPhone. And now iPhone is everywhere, and the design of the iPhone is evolved into every other smartphone. So,
It's just like Hacker News and everyone,
yeah,
shitting on Dropbox back in the day. That's my favorite. kind of
Okay.
reference point of like you could do this with a NAS. You like who wants cloud storage? Blah blah blah. And they're billion-dollar company now, like struggling to some degree, out there, but they knew where they were heading, and that's an important part too. So let's see. Like I'm really curious. I know somebody's going to figure it out. It's just I think Brian Armstrong has to push along to
Yeah.
help all of that.
I think if you're putting money in something, you're bound to see more of said thing evolve and grow and could bring value. I'll finish it off with this though. This is from a tweet that I read earlier from Nicole de Tomaso. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Nicole de Tomaso said, "If your startup sounds obvious, you're too late. If it sounds
Yeah.
crazy, you might be early enough." So, looking back at the Dropbox story, it was too early where people were being so skeptical. So, if you're on the startup world building something for crypto, just keep going. If people tell you it sounds crazy, then that could be a good sign because they don't see it yet. And when they see it, it becomes too late. So, keep on building.
Yep.